Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Shoujo Shuumatsu Ryokou's finale. Sorry about this and the other videos for this weekend being late, but you know how it is, Christmas weekend and all. But yeah, let's go through and talk about the finale and talk about the show as a whole. I think this ended up maybe being my show of the season. I haven't seen the finale yet. I'm gonna watch it and do the review on it tomorrow, the finale for Children of the Whales. But this might be my anime of the season. If anything beats it, it will be Children of the Whales. Hoseki no Kuni was close, but I think I liked this even more. But let's talk about the finale. Let's talk about the show. So starting off for the finale episode, Nuko is missing at the beginning, the cut, the radio cat. So they're searching around the sub, Cheeto and Yuri. They find chocolate. I thought that was a good scene. The camera syncs with the sub, and we get into sort of the first really deep thing. Like, this entire episode was really artistically well done and beautiful throughout, but this is when we get our first scene that really brings the emotion and the weight of the series in. So we see some of Kanazawa's old pictures from back when he had the camera, and then see even older ones that were saved there, and we see that Cheeto and Yuri get to see what civilization was like. They get to view civilization through the glass, but not actually get to live it. They missed out on people, what people were like. They didn't get this life, and they sort of discuss it while they're watching in amazement. No matter how good what they're seeing is or how bad it is, the war juxtaposed with peace and just these simple, frivolous things in everyday life. And they're just smiling in awe at it the whole time because they didn't get to experience any of that. And it ended up being a really beautiful scene because whether it's good or bad, you feel bad for the characters. You feel like they missed out on society. They missed out on getting to have this life. They're just spending their life going from food supply to food supply trying to survive. And that's sort of how they talk about it. So we have a quick flashback in the form of it. I believe it was Yuri's dream, and she remembers them leaving people that look like a community. So wherever they came from with their grandfather, it seems that there were more people there, and we kind of got hints at that at the first episode of the season. And I don't know if we'll get hopefully we'll get a second season some point. But if not, I think the story is well contained on its own, but I kind of hope we get a second one to explain more about this backstory and what happened here. But the big Nuko swallows Yuri, and once that happens, we get into, again, a very deep and heavy scene where Yu gets swallowed or whatever, and Cheeto points the gun at Nuko because she doesn't know if she can trust it. Nuko can't speak back or anything, but she doesn't know if she can trust Nuko, and there's just this sad standoff between the two of them, and it ended up being not just tense and emotional, but sad as well. But then Cheeto goes outside, finds the big Nuko that swallowed you, and the big Nuko says that they don't eat humans, or at least live humans, and then she sort of opens up into a mushroom-like creature. We find out that they were actually the origin of the song, that the song is a part of them using radio waves to communicate since they don't have normal vocal organs. And it turns out that they ate the radio that Yuri was wearing. And we learn from them that they're creatures that apparently they didn't come from Earth from what I gather, but they eat combustible energy sources. They say that Cheeto and Yuri are the last two humans they know of, but that just shows they haven't searched everywhere, I guess, because Kanazawa's probably alive somewhere, Ishii probably alive somewhere, and they even said that they haven't made it to the higher levels yet, so they don't know what's up there yet. But they said, the planet's dying off, and eventually they're going to devour everything will be gone, and the planet will have a chance to start anew. But they pretty much paint Cheeto and Yuri as the last two humans they know of existing. And of course that sort of makes us think, okay, the statues all around that we're watching everything. So I'm wondering now, were they actually statues or were they just Nukos that were observing the world around? And we know the one place they said they thought it was a temple, So perhaps even like when these creatures showed up and the world maybe was already in its dying stages, perhaps some of the people as they were dying off worshipped some of them as gods, whatever this new species of creature is. Also, we don't even really know, there's a lot of mystery to it still. We don't even know how much of the truth that this mushroom was telling us. Either way, it was really, really good though. Nuko at first wants to stay with Yu and Chi, and I was getting so emotional. I was like, please stay with them, Nuko. But they end up saying their goodbyes, and again, right at the end, something beautiful when all the mushrooms were floating off, and Yuri brought up from earlier in the series, she was like, they really got along with the despair, the feeling of despair. They got along with the Zetsubo. And she's like, and I think the song that they were singing, it feels like a song about the end. It's bittersweet like that. And then, of course, they used I'm so happy they used it too, because even before this, I'd been listening again and again to the one ending song, the Amidari something, but the Rainfall song that they did. Because I thought it just makes me happy and smile every time I listen to it, and they used that as the ending for their final credits. Oh man, that was just, it was so good. I love that song so much. And then, of course, at the very end, they had, I think it was after the credits, an after credit scene with Yuri and Cheeto pretty much telling each other, as long as we got each other, I don't feel lonely. Again, great. Episode as a whole was beautiful. I thought it was really, really happy, even though the entire thing was full of despair. And I feel like that's a great way to describe the series. The series was constantly cute and happy, but still just full of despair in spite of that, I guess. I'll miss Nuko traveling with them, though. I really like Nuko. It was cute. Again, it was one of those things where it was cute and it made me smile to look at, but it also, I got this impending sadness from it, where I always felt something horrible was going to happen to it, and I was always just scared and nervous for it. But yeah, the production quality for the episode was great. The mushrooms, one thing that I could maybe paint as a negative were the mushrooms seemed a little bit out of nowhere, but everything else was so great that it more than makes up for that, to the point where I wouldn't even give it a below perfect score. I'd give it 10.5 mushrooms out of 10, or 10.5 people out of 10, people they missed out on. So yeah, I'd give this finale more than a perfect score. And for the show as a whole, I thought the show was pretty incredible. It was a slow character-driven journey, and I think that helped it be constantly good. It was very, very consistent in how good it was. Like, one thing specifically that this show did that I guess not a ton of other shows do are when they were talking about the sound of the rain falling, or the sound of this song, or the look of the sunset or something, they would have a long shot for like 10 or 12 seconds of whatever that was, where they're taking out the scene itself and making the audience sit there in that ambiance. They're making the audience experience what the characters are experiencing. And I thought that those shots, the time they took to immerse the audience, especially taking a really slow, long time to develop characters over the course of each episode, just really being calm and chill and taking their time with it, it just more and more made you, as a person watching it, immerse yourself in what was going on. It was a really immersive show. And artistically and creatively, it was really, really good. And the tone of it was tonally deep. The tone of the show was always good, like I said earlier, where it always felt so empty and full of despair, and yet we had this cute, happy story going on in it. I guess that's almost a similar feeling to Kimono Friends a lot of the time. It's different. It's much more production quality heavy, I guess, than that. But yeah, and like I said, incredibly creative and good artistically. As a score, what I thought was great, because whenever I do this, I go back and look at my scores that I gave each episode. I didn't give a single episode of this lower than a 9.5 except for one of them. I gave one episode a 9, and that was the lowest that I gave it. So this show was consistently good, consistently between 9 and 10, occasionally a 10, occasionally a 9, but pretty much between that every single episode. So I don't know. It's one of the more consistent shows, I think, not even just this season, but this year. And it was even more consistent than Hoseki no Kuni, another show that I loved this season was. And I loved Children of the Whales. Like I said, I haven't got to my full review of that show and the finale yet. But even with that, I feel like Shoujo Shuumatsu Ryokou, it was more consistently good than that, probably. I don't know which one I'll end up saying was my favorite, or saying I liked, or saying I thought was better in the end, because I'll have to look back over Children of the Whales. But at least for right now, it's going to be really, really close, just because though it didn't have the highs that some shows earlier in the year had, like Todoroki vs. Izuku during Boku no Hero Academia Season 2, or the last like 5 or 6 episodes of Little Witch Academia, where each of them was way beyond perfect. Even though it didn't have those highs, it didn't really have the lows, or at least the milds, the mehs, that those shows had either. It was always at a high. Maybe not as much of a high, but it was always really, really solidly good. So at the end of the day, I guess that leads me. I want to give it 10 out of 10. 10 endless journeys out of 10. 10 Zetsubos out of 10. So yeah, I really loved it. I can't really say much more about it. I think I've gotten through everything I wanted to say, or anything I can think of to say. So yeah, hopefully one day we do get a season 2, but even if we don't, I think that this was self-contained enough that even if there's no season 2, it's still worth a 10 out of 10 for me. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the series and my reviews of it and all that. I will be doing a video later this week, probably in a few days from when I post this, where I'll have it up on screen, just all the descriptions and titles and stuff, from all of the shows for next season, and I'll just put a face cam for me up in the corner, and I'll be going through all of them, discussing them, and saying which ones I'm thinking about watching, which ones I'm thinking about reviewing, so that we can talk back and forth in the comments, me and all of you, and figure out which ones I want to cover for the channel, potentially. At the end of the day, I'm going to pick ones that I think would be good to review, but I do want everybody's input as well, because, I mean, that's sort of how I figure out how interested all of you are. But this season coming up, winter 2018, there are a lot of good shows. I went through already, and I found maybe 15 I'm thinking about watching, but I'm only going to review maybe 2, hopefully, because I'm going to keep reviewing One Piece, keep reviewing Mahotsukai no Yome. Both of those are continuing onward. But I don't want to watch as much as I have been watching every season the past few seasons, and I don't want to review as much, because I want some time to be able to catch up on some older series, maybe even do reviews on some older series, or even some classic series that it seems like everybody's seen, but I just haven't gotten around to. I want to take next season a little bit easier on the week-to-week stuff, so that I can catch up with some older stuff that I haven't seen. But yeah, I guess that's about it. So, if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this series and what you thought of the episode, and what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more. Yeah, more of this if there is more of it, but much more anime, manga, light novels, tons of stuff on the channel here. Then follow on Twitter if you want. I'll try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk with me and more of us there, just ask and I'll give you a link. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.